Welcome to Commas.
Commas is all things tech.
Culture and technology coming together.
Life hacks.
The practicality right now and the inefficiency of the internet of buying and selling stuff is extraordinary.
Entrepreneurship advice.
I think the first thing is you got to understand your business inside out.
Love and tech.
I've almost reduced dating to kind of this very momentary snap of a person.
It's gonna be a fire show.
I have yet to see something these days that's truly differentiated.
New advice and new inspiration every show.
It really is about the next generation of creators going faster, further than we did.
Now let's start stacking them commas.
Entrepreneurship advice. Learn from the hottest and most successful investors, founders, and innovators in the game.
Determine your greatness.
It's time to get your knowledge up.
Okay, for sure.
What up, Commas fam? We are back with another episode, and we're here to drop some gems on you to tell you how to automate your business. So when it comes to business automation, we're talking about platform software and things that you can do to help circumvent some things you're going to have to do by yourself, obviously. But once you get a flow together, then you'll be able to kind of execute based on that flow. So in terms of ways to automate, Dr. Dapper, what are some of the things that you've been doing for your business?
Me, since I have like a product-based business, I know a lot of people, a lot of you people out there listening to us, y'all have products as well. And I asked a girl today, actually, she has body butter. And I asked her, I was like, yo, so how does your shipping process go? And she was like, oh, I print the label, or I have to go into a different like platform and I have to like print it out. And then some people have to write it out. Like they get the address sent to them and they write it out and then they put it on the package, they take it to UPS
Things
or
of the
USPS.
past.
And it's like, golly, y'all going through all this work to make this happen. And I always recommend that people use ShipStation because that automates a lot with the shipping process. And it integrates very well with Squarespace, for example. So, you know, all the integrations and plugins have been set in place to help us automate our business because you're doing so many different things at one time to where it's like I can't really just sit down and write out 20 orders. You know, I want it to be like, okay, the order came in, the customer put in their address, and it went through from Squarespace to ShipStation, and then from there, it's automated with UPS or USPS, and I pay for the shipping and the label. Print it out, slap it on there, take it to UPS, or either have the UPS truck come pick it up. So that's one thing that I've used a lot that's helped me out with shipping because I know in the beginning it was stressful trying to like put labels on everything myself. And I was like, man, there's got to be an easier way. So that's one way. And I'm sure you got a few ways because you Miss Tech Queen. So
yeah.
You know.
So some of the things I think about in terms of automation is marketing. So a lot of people don't understand sales funnels. And I think it's super imperative when you're setting up your business to understand your sales funnel. So what's top of your funnel? So where exactly is your traffic coming from? Is it Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, word of mouth, email? Like where's that traffic coming from? And so once you have that top of funnel, then you want to put in exactly where that funnel is automating to. So say I'm targeting people from Instagram. They sign up, they go on my email list. That's the second tier of the funnel. And then I can start blasting them with newsletters, right? Mm-hmm. And say, for example, for whatever reason, they don't open that newsletter. Depending on what platform you're using, I'm a fan of ActiveCampaign. Mm-hmm. You can set up an automation trail to have it retarget or resend that newsletter again for the people who did not open that newsletter, right? And then you kind of talk to them into your customer journey. It's called indoctrinating your customer.
Ooh, big
so
world.
yeah.
Big word.
So basically what you want to do is you want to indoctrinate the customer. So when they're seeing something and they want to purchase it, they don't know you as a business yet, right? And it gives them an opportunity to kind of understand who you are, what your brand's about. And then they're like, okay, I may purchase. And people don't understand that it takes several points of interaction before somebody purchases from you, unless they have a massive pain point and they're just trying to solve for that pain point. So when I say several points, that could be anywhere from 5 to 7 points of interaction. And you don't have that many touch points, just from Instagram, right? They may come across your profile and maybe not follow you, but if they go into your email sequence, then you have the opportunity to continue to retarget them, or you have the opportunity to continue to communicate with them, right? And some people are like, oh, but what if I send them too many emails? It's like, no, they either ish or get off the pot, right? So they're either going to purchase or they're going to you just unsubscribe, and it's fine. Like if they get off, then that's totally okay. So I think email sequences are totally important for a business, especially if you're B2C, business to consumer, or D2C, direct to consumer, because you want to be in front of the customer as much as possible. And then in addition to email sequences, you want to create Facebook ads or Instagram ads to support those. So a lot of people don't understand that when they put out Facebook ads or Instagram ads, they put them out expecting the customer to just purchase. The problem is, again, the person who's going to purchase needs several points of interaction before they're actually going to purchase from your business. So you want to use your automation, your email sequence automation, and your Facebook ads in tandem. And you want to make sure that when that person does go on that email list, instead of you just sending them out a new email, you're going to see a retargeting ad. So essentially what happens is I'll upload my entire email list to Facebook. I'll create a custom audience from that. And then Facebook will then go and retarget you. So every time you see something say, I landed on your shoes, and even though I didn't click or interact or do anything with your shoes, I saw it again. And I'm like, why do I keep seeing this man's shoes over and over and over again, right? It's because literally the data is captured by a pixel as soon as you land on there, and I'm retargeting you with ads, but I'm also using that email list to drive those conversations too. So you can't have one or the other. They must work in tandem.
Yeah, and with the email stuff, I like MailChimp, and there's a lot of automation you can do in there as well, because I'm on Squarespace, and that's one thing that Squarespace offers. And then outside of that, another automation that I like that you probably would like too is QuickBooks. It really helps you like just keep the flow of your accounting and everything. So whenever tax season comes around, it's like, oh, my accountant has to get all my stuff, and it's like your books are all right there. Everything's organized. You got your P&L, your balance sheet, and it really automates all of your like accounting aspects of your business. If you want to know where you at if you're looking at a point right now, you're like, okay, I want to know where I'm standing with business based on cash and inventory. QuickBooks is a very, very, very good platform to utilize, because everything that flows through your bank account flows right into QuickBooks. So it's like seamless. It's amazing. I love it. I know they love it too. QuickBooks, sponsor us. Hit us up.
I just started using QuickBooks, and
I like it.
Yeah, and for me, it was interesting because I was using Stripe and PayPal to automate my payment processes. So when I had Commas, the platform, I would have, when somebody would sign up for a membership, Stripe would hit their account every month, and then they would obviously pay through Stripe, right? But they were also taking out a percentage, whatever that processing fee was for Stripe or PayPal. So I find that QuickBooks only, like, they have their monthly payment that they take out, but it's not as extreme as what I would see from Stripe and PayPal. So I think that's interesting. I'm only 2 months in, so I don't know, what all the other processes are that I could be utilizing with QuickBooks, but I definitely am excited about at least accessing the platform.
Yeah, because I use Stripe myself for my business. And that's the same thing that's on Shopify as well. A lot of people don't know that, a lot of stuff on Shopify is automated, like mostly everything. You can die and it's still working.
That's what we want.
Right? But Shopify Pay or whatever is basically Stripe. So it's like a private label. So when I got in contact with Stripe and I was talking to them about me switching over to Shopify, and they're like, oh, yeah, that's us. We're on the back end. They're just like, we don't care about them, branding it as Shopify Pay and stuff like that. So it's pretty dope. How the automation platforms that you think are separate, they're kind of like together and they work as one, or there's that main automation like software platform that actually powers all the different ones that we use, and we're like, oh dang, you never knew that. So it's really dope.
Yeah, I mean that's the business, right? White labeling. So like. If somebody's going to be using a certain platform, you don't necessarily know who's the owner behind it. I think as long as there's a functionality that works for you and you know that you're getting whatever your needs are met, then use whatever you need to use. I think what's interesting is a lot of the times with business, especially new business owners, we're hodgepodging a lot of platforms and tools together, and we're just not understanding like the integrations of that, right? And so I think the easiest way to do that, to make it make sense so that you have a streamlined flow, because you don't want tools all over the place, because it's very easy to forget and like, okay, what's the password to this and what am I using for this and like how am I processing this? And so to keep your flow streamlined, Zapier is a great tool to basically connect the dots, right? So if you have Stripe and you have Shopify and for whatever reason they're not talking, they do talk. But just for example, if they weren't talking, Zapier will connect them through whatever that Zap is or whatever that connection is that you need them to do. And Zapier covers over, I think, 1,000 platforms.
Crazy.
Right? So there's so many ways that you can make these things happen. You just have to be really creative and you have to be really intrigued by how the software works and do a little digging and find out what your business needs. But please believe whatever your needs are, it's definitely out there.
Something else is out there that's really cool is automations for Instagram. So a lot of people use automations for DMs, for commenting, and a lot of people use it for reposting and just like posting in general as well. So I've seen a lot of businesses, a lot of creatives that don't have a lot of time to be on their phones or get tired of being on their phones. They use these apps that just post for them. And I don't really like using them. I like to like curate my content as I think and as I like feel. Or if I'm capturing something in the moment and I'm like, oh, I want to post this, I like doing that. But that's another great tool that a lot of people are starting to use. And I'm pretty sure they'll start to do a lot more. And there'll probably be more jobs created around that too, because or deleted because we really don't need humans anymore.
We're going to talk about that later.
We're going to talk about that.
We definitely
That's a good
are.
topic. That's a good topic. I think this is a good place to end on this one, but that's a good topic to flow into for sure.
I do want to piggyback on your Instagram comment, though, for a second, because I do think it's important that if you are using Instagram automation, that you don't just leave it and go, right?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people are like, oh, I'm going to set this up and then it's going to grow my account and I'm going to come back and I'm going to be a famous influencer tomorrow.
Hey, nope.
And so I think it's super important that you're still monitoring your account. If you do have something like some type of bot that's doing your direct DMs, that you're actually engaging with people who respond to you so that you don't feel like a machine, because it's very easy to tell when it's not a person behind the screen. And then going back even to Instagram automation for posting, I think tools like Later are super important. They will give you an opportunity to design your grid.
I've seen that.
Yes. So you can utilize those, do your hashtags. They'll save your hashtags for you, and then they'll upload to the platform for you as well. So I think there's really educated ways to automate on Instagram and Twitter and the other platforms, Hootsuite, of course, LinkedIn. But just be mindful. Like, don't let the bot take over, because ultimately it's you that the person wants to engage with. It's your content they want to engage with, and they want to make sure that there's a relationship and it's not something that's transactional if you really want to get results.
Yeah, because Instagram is cracking down on that stuff, so watch out for sure.
Oh, for sure. I had a friend.
Crazy.
I won't name names. He knows who he is.
Uh-oh.
No, it's not a bad thing.
Okay.
He had a company that was like totally all about your and let me be very clear. I have friends who have built multi-million-dollar companies from these automation tools.
It's crazy.
So it's not a bad thing at all. It's just making sure that you're cognizant of what the platform's doing and how the algorithm's responding, and making sure that you're playing by the rules, so to speak, because you can build a multi-million-dollar company on these platforms. It's just you got to do it correctly. So don't just depend on the technology. Also engage with your audience, become familiar with them, and make sure you're consistently engaged with them.
Yo.
Love, life, and tech.
With Sequoia Blodgett.
Just part of our culture.
Because balance is real between the swipe culture, mental health, personal growth, career, and just about everything in between.
Just keeping it real.
It's a lifestyle.
Incredible vibes, incredible people.
Love,
Life.
and tech.
We're going to jump back into the dating app game, because I think it's really important just to kind of talk about the dating app landscape in 2020. I know last year we had Dating App Guy, and we followed his journey through Facebook, Tinder, Hinge, League, all of these apps. I'm happy to report that he actually is dating, and we, were able to assist him in that process. So that's really cool. Uh-oh.
Dropping some uh-ohs.
But we are going to actually get into the conversation of, should you be using dating apps in 2020? Should you be meeting people IRL? What's the real deal? And maybe you might want to level up and do some personal scouting with some matchmakers. I don't know. Ooh. I'll talk about that too. But let's jump into it. So my dating app experience has not been the greatest.
What happened? Tell us. Break it down to the fam. We here for you.
All right. So what didn't happen is a better question. Okay, so you know how the meme has been going around, the Dolly Parton challenge, and it's like LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, Tinder. So they should have one that's like League, Hinge, Tinder, whatever the fourth one is, right?
Bumble.
Bumble, exactly. Because they all mean something different, right?
Shh, I get on them looking for the same thing.
Are you on all of them?
No, I'm on Tinder and Bumble.
Okay.
I just hop back on there.
Okay, so we'll talk about that in a second. But so specific to the league, so the league was made as a kind of call out to Tinder, meaning we're not the type of people who want like a mass dating pool. We want people who are very specific. They need to be at this level of education, this age, this, career, like that type of thing. Tinder to me is like a mass pool of people. Like you can't tell who the person is. You don't get that much information. You probably get like a sentence if they even decide to fill in their bios, because most people don't. And then I read some stats on Tinder. 2 things. Tinder was created to have the slot machine addictive experience. So the reason why they created it the way with the swipe culture, swiping right or left, is because they wanted the same addictive personalities that you would get when you go to Vegas and you're at a casino. So what happens is you swipe right, you swipe left, and instead of stopping, you're like, okay, are they going to match me or are they not? So it's like, am I going to hit that 777 or am I not, right? So that's the methodology behind Tinder. Bumble has a similar methodology. I don't know if you know the backstory, but Bumble, the CEO of Bumble, and one of the heads of Tinder, I don't know if it was it was an executive. I don't know if it was a CEO or somebody else in their executive leadership team, but they were in a relationship. And so basically something happened, something transpired within the company where she left and sued them. Ended up getting a bunch of money and started Bumble as like a call out to Tinder, right?
Wow.
So there's a lot of history within the company. The story's a little choppy. I'm sure there's a lot more details that I'm not explaining, but that's essentially how the platform was birthed. So they have very similar characteristics, except in that sense, given the fact of what Whitney had gone through, she's leading this as a female. So, of course, her platform has the female leading, right?
It does. It's like women go first.
Exactly.
Ooh.
Exactly. And so I don't know if that's a response to whatever allegations were charged or, why that is, but that's the kind of dynamic. Now, the reality of it is the dating side of Bumble actually isn't getting as much traction as the career side and the BFF, like the friendship side.
Yeah, I use, because Bumble, I feel like that separates it also, because a lot of people, they go to Tinder just to have one night stands or find people for whatever. And then on Bumble, you get a little more mature crowd. And then with Bumble Business, it's like, okay, we about our business. We're trying to network. We're trying to connect. But if something happens on the side, it's whatever. But, we hear about our business. So I feel like Bumble is really cool. And that's funny that you called out, and the story connects so well with the woman leading the company and then having the women make the first move. That's a real call out to make, like, hey, women running this. Like, we are the decision makers in this thing. If we want to go on a date, we decide. If we want to talk to you, we decide. So that's crazy.
Yeah.
I never. Wow. I'm sure a lot of people listening right now, like, dang, let me go download that real quick and check that out.
Yeah, and I like that you described the differentiating factors, right? Because it is something that is very big for Bumble. It's where the majority of their traffic is coming from is, okay, we want to connect on a career level, so that says something all in itself. But what has your experience been like? Have you been on these apps? Have you swiped right? Have you swiped left? How do you feel about the two?
Swiped right and left.
Okay.
On both.
Tell me what your experience has been like. Have you gone out on dates? Like, what's going on?
So Tinder is cool. Me personally, I prefer, like, if I'm really dating, like if I'm looking to date, I'd rather run across that person in a normal setting. Like if I'm at a networking event or if I'm at like a release party or some kind of event where it's in my environment and this, so we can connect on that. But I've met people on Tinder, and of course my intention for Tinder isn't to date. It's like, okay, I'm just chilling, meeting people, whatever happens. But it's been cool. I've met some cool people on there. I don't know if I'm still cool with anybody to this day, but everything's in the past. I met somebody that worked at Tinder actually, and that made me jump back on it. I was like, dang, let me check it out. I ain't been on there in a while. So I got back on it again. And the person that worked in Tinder, they dropped some knowledge, and they're like, yo, like they were telling me the average age on there, and they were telling me also how they make their money. I was like, y'all make your money from ads, right? He was like, no, we make our money more so from people that actually pay to be able to swipe with these people and reach people on the other side of the country. I was like, wow, people are really doing that?
Yeah, subscriptions.
I couldn't bring myself to paying to swipe on somebody or meet somebody across the country because social media is here. Just like I don't see how men pay for women.
What do you mean pay for women? That took a turn for the left. So explain that to me, please.
Everything is free nowadays. If you want to go watch whatever on online, it's like, yo, it's free. So it's like I don't understand why people have to pay for meeting women or to do whatever they do with women. So that's why. That's what I mean from that perspective.
That's like another conversation for another day.
Yeah, a whole other conversation. We'll get into that as well.
So my experience, I've been on all of them.
Oh, even Christian Mingle?
No. My experience has been just like, it's just not for me, right? Like I've been on Tinder, I've been on Bumble, I've been on League, I've been on Hinge, I've been on whatever, right? And it's just not for me. Like I could not. I don't know if it's like expectations prior to that I meet you and then it just doesn't pan out the way that I thought it would or whatever, but I haven't had success on any of them. And so I just realized that some people are dating app people because I do know people who have gotten married from these apps.
Yeah, some people meet real stuff happens.
So some people are definitely dating app people. I'm not that person is from what I've come to the conclusion of. But I will say, if you are out there, you are looking for that partner, do not be afraid to open up your pool. The reason why I jumped on it is because when I had 7 a.m., my first platform, we had Dr. Wendy Walsh on there, and she was saying, hey, listen, you can't eliminate a slither of your pool, right? Dating is a numbers game. So if you're going to meet them in real life, you meet them in real life. You can meet them on the app. You can meet them, through somebody, through a friend, but don't eliminate a slither of your pool and don't feel like that the app is the problem because you're the person picking the people. And I was like, ooh.
That's deep because it's just like social media. A lot of people hate social media, but it allows you to meet people that you would never have met in your life. And then I feel like the dating apps also help introverts because it's like they can meet some really, really dope people on there and they wouldn't have met them in the first place if it wasn't for, them being able to sit behind the screen and just swipe and like, oh, I like them, that's cool, and then start to message that way because they probably wouldn't walk up to you, if you were out. I really wish Tinder was like in real life, like you walk into a bar and you see, okay, she's single, I'm gonna swipe right on her.
I always wanted to. That's so funny because I was like, well, what if there was like a augmented reality version of this where you could like see a bubble over their head, and I was like, oh, doop.
She's single.
But the thing is, honestly, it's just you have to have a conversation. I think what's happening with these platforms and like apps and being on your phone all the time is it turns you into an introvert. Like even if you are extroverted by nature, you tend to like your social skills kind of go away, and you get into these situations where you're like, I just want to know all of the information ahead of time versus like having to have a real conversation, which I think like we're losing the art of, right? So you've got to be able to still walk into a bar and have a conversation, and if it results in her not being single or him not being single, oh well. like that's a part of the process. Like that's human nature, right? And I think that's something that we've got to kind of pull ourselves out of. So it's not just like solely relying on a dating app. You're still going out in real life. You're still meeting people. There's, friends are introducing you to people. I think friends introducing you is a great way to meet people, versus you kind of having to figure it out yourself. Because I think what dating apps do is they give you kind of a perspective of who's single, but they're still not giving you that much information about the person.
Some of those people aren't even single because I've seen some people on Tinder. I'm like, yo, she got a boyfriend, or she talking to somebody, or something else is going on. And then also, they can have that account still active, and then they don't use it anymore, and that could cause trouble. So it's like if you start dating somebody, you better deactivate your account because let somebody come across that one of your husbands or your girlfriends, homies or friends. Like, yo, is your man or your woman still on Tinder? I just came across his page. You lying? No, I'm for real. Like, look at this, and it's like it start a whole lot of stuff and it could be crazy. And another thing with that is like false image. I mean, you get to create your own image, just like how social media, the creatives and the influencers get to create the life that they want to promote or, this lifestyle that they live. Tinder and Bumble, you get to pick the 5, 6, 7 pictures that are your best pictures.
The flyest.
You get to put the most important stuff about your life. You don't put anything bad. Like, yeah. So then you read that. Oh, this is perfect. And then you meet him in person. It's like, oh, this is terrible. I just wasted my time.
But that was my issue, managing expectations, right? You have these profiles. They look amazing. They're only giving you a few sentences of what they want to give you. And then all of a sudden you meet them in person. And you're like, And so I just didn't want to look like the Yo Quiero Taco Bell dog anymore. I was just over it. I was like, no, it's not for me. So I, took a few steps back. But I mean, whatever. That's my own experience. I now have, invested in a dating coach. She's a matchmaker. Yeah, it's
what?
actually
They got that. What'd you do?
It's literally the best thing that I've invested in a lot of things. It's literally the best investment I have ever made because she's a matchmaker too. So instead of me going, okay, let me go, because I'm busy. Like I have multiple streams of income and I have a focal point in every single one of them. And so for me, I meet a lot of people, but I'm not excited about them, right? And so for her, she'll go and like suss out people for me. And she'll be like, I think based off of Sequoia's characteristics, this, and this, that you'd be a great person for her, right? And so far, so good. So, I mean, there's different ways to go about the situation. You could, take the very massive investment and do that, or you could download an app and do that. There's very specific apps for more professional people. If you're of that caliber, you can do that as well. It's just don't limit your options. I think that's what it comes down to. Making sure that you are open across the board and eventually you will be with that person that you're looking to be with.
And if you don't want to do either of those, pay for a coach or use Tinder, Bumble, etc. I feel like just placing yourself in the right place at the right time is very important. If you love the fashion industry, go to the fashion district. Walk around, be seen, look good, be a walking billboard, represent yourself in a way where people will be like, oh, if I saw him on Tinder, I will swipe right on him. So yeah, I feel like that's
a real life walking profile.
Hey, I'm a walking profile. Swipe right on me when you see me. I am single. My left ring finger is empty. And
He's
I go
looking,
to a
ladies.
full king-size bed alone. If you're listening right now, if you're tuned in, DM me.
I thought we were off the apps. I thought they were going to be seeing you in real life.
Hey, if you see me in real life, holler at me. If you see me on the app, holler at me. If you see
So look, Dr. Dapper, he's open for business. So app or not.
the open sign right now, you see it flashing.
App or not, he's open for business. All right, cool. So again, in real life, if you're actually looking for somebody, be open, be approachable, communicate. If you want to do it on the app, you're more introverted, go ahead and do that on the app. If you want to hire somebody. Make sure your options are open and you will find love.
Driven through the building. It's time to say it with style.
Dr. Dapper is checking in.
Dr. Dapper's here to swag you up with a fresh perspective from fashion to lifestyle and entrepreneurship. Look good. Now let's hit the runway and say it with style.
What's good, Commas family? Dr. Dapper is checking in. And today I'm going to talk about your circle. It is very, very, very vital to your success. The people that you surround yourself by, they impact your life so much. So the people that are around you, they should be doing something similar to what you're doing or things you aspire to do in your life. They always say the four or the 9 people you surround yourself by. I'll say 4. The 4 people you surround yourself by, if they're just playing the game, chilling, relaxing, they got a 9 to 5, they go home, they just don't do anything, you become that 5th person. But if you're around 4 people that are driven, that are aspiring entrepreneurs, or they are entrepreneurs, they're hustling, they're getting it in, they're going to events, networking, they making their bread, they getting in their bag, they stacking these commas, you're going to be the 5th person doing that. So it's helped me so much on my journey as an entrepreneur. And then they always say the people you gain on your journey, the friends that you gain, they make it all worth it. So definitely look around you and just see, okay, what is John doing? What is Billy doing? Are they doing things that are beneficial to their life or to my life? Do they have my best interests at heart? Because if they don't, it might be time for you to clean your circle up. So, and I know Sequoia just joined my circle, and she's a great person. She adds a lot of value to my life. So find you some Sequoias, that's very important. I hope Sequoia would hope that people would find some Erics or some Dr. Dappers to hang around them too. I like to think I offer value to the people that, you know, I jump into their circle and become a part of that. So, you know, I really want to hear what she got to say about her circle and then just me being a part of her circle.
I think it's interesting because when you're actually building a circle, I'm very selective in terms of who I put around me because a lot of people have malintentions, especially in LA. LA is a city of how can I get what I need and get rid of you? And I don't subscribe to that. Like, I don't subscribe to transactional relationships. I don't subscribe to disposable people. I think when you're in certain cities, and I can only speak specifically to LA. This could be across the board universally. It could be happening in your city. I don't know. But from my experience and from what I felt the most, or being in these other cities, San Francisco, Atlanta, I've lived in both. LA is that city that's like, how do I come up off of you? And so I'm very particular about who I put around me because that doesn't feel great to anyone, right? And so I've taken precaution and time in terms of how I build my circle and who I place in that circle. And I think with you, Dr. Dapper, I saw that you are already hustling. And I think it's super important that as you're moving forward, that person is already hustling when they meet you and they're not just like trying to come up.
Yeah.
Because I get a lot of, can I pick your brains? And I'm like, no.
You can pay me.
you can pick my bank account numbers up and slide the check in. But so for me, that's super important. Like, I need to see what you're doing before I get you involved. Because I'm likely to get you involved if it makes sense, if the synergies make sense, if I know the values there and it's a mutually beneficial relationship. But I'm not putting you in a situation because, quite frankly, I have a lot of relationships and I can elevate a lot of people with those relationships, and I'm very aware of that. So I make sure that I'm not putting you in a situation where I feel like you're going to take advantage of the situation.
Yeah, that's that. I like that a lot. And then I'm also going to drop a tip for a lot of people because I know people right now are stepping into entrepreneurship or stepping into being a creative and living in their purpose. And a lot of people try to press and just, you know, force friendships and relationships and building their circle. And I really want to tell everybody today that it happens organically. And I'm just a living just witness or just proof to show that, you know, like relationships and circles are built organically. Like some of my best friends I've met from social media. One of my closest friends, Levi, who was on our previous episode. Yeah, the previous episode, he was on that episode. And we're so close, we're tight. And we met through Instagram. Malcolm, MJ Harris, we met through Instagram. And everything like that, it just happened organically because I was giving off a certain energy. I was branding myself a certain way. I was putting myself in certain places where I would cross paths with these people that, you know, me unconsciously would help my life and elevate me to a certain level in a different, you know, place of my life, you know, a whole different like field. See, I do shoes, but meeting MJ, you know, that pushed me to doing more things on Instagram and becoming more of an influencer and just opening up and doing more videos and inspiring and motivating and actually using my story and my voice. So if I hadn't have, you know, given off that energy or manifested that I wanted to actually do that, the universe probably wouldn't have sent him my way. But since I put that out there, you know, the universe sent that my way. And then with Levi, personal life, business life, he's married. I look up to him for that. And all those things, so he just like supports me a whole lot, and just putting that energy out there and just saying I need this or I want this, or just even the universe knows what you need, and you don't have to really be pressed about I need to find a friend because I'm alone, or, you know, I need somebody to talk to. It's like that person will come, you know, and they'll come at the perfect time. You don't even have to be pressed about like, oh, I need somebody right now. It's like you might not need somebody right now, but, you know, when in the next 2 weeks you might go to a networking event and you might meet somebody that is like extremely dope. You would have never thought you'd meet a person like that in your life. Blood can make you guys closer. Y'all became close like over 2-3 weeks. And then, you know, in that third week of your friendship, you hit the lowest of lows you've ever hit in your life. And it's like, dang, you know, I thought I needed somebody 3 weeks ago, but I really, really need somebody like today. And it's just crazy how, you know, you cross paths with people and everything just organically happens. And it's really like, it's mind blowing at times. Have you ever had anything like that happen where, or have all your relationships been organic? You know, I know ours was organic at an event, panel, boom. It's like been in the same place, the right time, around the right people.
Yeah, I think I'm really cautious. So something must have just been like, I don't know, the way we even moved happened really fast. And that's rare for me. That's actually unheard of for me. I'm very cautious about who I put myself in rooms with, right? And so I think for me, even if you could be amazing and I won't see it right away.
Yeah.
And that's a downfall of me that I'm still working on because I've turned some real amazing people away, right? And so I think because I'm so cautious, I'm so guarded, I'm so like, okay, what are your intentions? Because I've been screwed so many times
Me too.
that I'm just like, it takes a lot for me to be like, oh, okay, cool, we're cool, right? And so I think organic, yes, but more so I pace it out a lot before I'm like totally open with you because I just don't know what people's intentions are. And I like to, I like you, not necessarily approve yourself, but like I like to see the bigger picture over time because everybody's going to present themselves with their best foot forward. And it doesn't necessarily mean that that best foot is actually who they are, right? And I think one thing for you all out there is I know everybody's not in the place that they want to be success-wise. Hell, I'm not in the place I want to be success-wise, right? But I never, ever, 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 and I've never done this, and this is why I'm so successful now, I do not approach people without value. Every time I approach you, I'm like, okay, how do I add value to your life? I don't ask for anything. I've never asked for anything. And so when I get to the point of adding as much value that I can possibly add, eventually that person's like, oh, well, how do I help you? Because you've been just consistently adding value, right? And I live by that. And it's not like, oh, I'm going to deposit value into you and hopefully you'll do. I'm not in a transactional relationship mode. I'm very much the person that's like, okay, I have all these things to offer. Now, how do I get that to you? And then you decide what you want to do with that, right? And I think that a lot of people that will, say, well, I don't have anything to offer. So what am I supposed to offer? Well, you got to dig into yourself and see what that is. Maybe it's, oh, this person needs an assistant for the day, or this person needs help with, a website, or this person needs, something real basic, right? And if you don't even have skill sets that you can offer, maybe you're like, let me take this person to dinner. Let me take this person to lunch. No intentions. I just want to go ahead and treat you, right? Not so I can pick your brain. I just want to treat you and like just be valuable in that moment, right? And I think that is the way that you actually build authentic relationships, especially the relationships that get you to the next level.
Yeah. And then I feel like another thing that also helps you get to the next level with that is keeping your circle real tight. So you were saying like basically a vetting process for anybody trying to step into your circle, so you can like actually keep the squares out of your circle because you want the right kind of people in that circle and just around you with the right energy and just like your best interests at heart. So like you said, you've been screwed over a lot. I've been screwed over a lot too, and I'm very like hesitant when I like opening up to people. And now like recently I've been seeing myself opening up more to like women because it's crazy. I never knew how easy it was or how much better it was for a man to work with a woman, or have a good woman in your circle or a few good women in your circle because they always have your back. And if you treat them right, show them love and just respect them and uplift them, they will bend over backwards for you and they will do 10 times the amount of things that a man will do because I'm speaking to the men right now because when you go into business with a man, there's a lot of masculine energy in that relationship. And then everybody wants to be on top or has to be the man or in the spotlight. So, but I've seen, recently working with women, they don't mind stepping to the side sometimes or letting you shine or letting whatever happen within that relationship when it comes to you being the point of attention. So that's something I've noticed. And I would say, sit back and check your circle and see, do you have some dope women in your circle because that can really elevate your life. And you're a really dope woman that I've met here since I've been in LA, and I've met a lot of people. And the majority of really, really cool people I've met have been women that are older than me too. Yeah, it's crazy. I learn a lot from y'all, and it's really dope. Most of my friends are older than me, so I would also say make sure you're not the smartest person in your circle. Make sure you're not the richest person in your circle because if you're the smartest person or the most well-off person, what can you learn from the people in your circle? And if you are the most successful in your circle right now, find somebody that's more successful than you and then also reach back and, build that circle of people that aren't as successful as you. Because if you're pulling up in the Maserati and your homie's pulling up in the Honda, it's an issue, So
unless he likes Hondas.
I mean,
well, you got a point. What if he likes hybrids?
I mean, I don't know. I don't know too many. I mean,
but I get your point.
Flex, yeah. You know the point is there has to be some room for learning and growth and things like that. So definitely make sure that there's somebody in your circle or everybody's in your circle, you know, is more well off than you, and then have somebody that's on the same level as you that's still hustling. Like you mentioned earlier, you know, it's always good to meet people that are hustling, already have it going, so you don't have to pour into them without being poured back into, because you can end up being empty. And it's like, dang, I ain't got nothing else to pour. You got to come on, fam. So
I think it's an interesting dynamic that you talk about, that women have been your support system, because up until maybe like 2 years ago, men have been my support system, right? So I wasn't leaning on women. It was all about like, okay, there's no, you know, competition. There's no, so it's easy for him to be like, hey, such and such, you know, how do I add value over here? And he's like, okay, cool, you're cute or whatever. And then all of a sudden things happen, right? And so I think for me, it takes a different type of energy to deal with your, not opposite sex. Exactly.
Same sex.
It takes a certain type of energy to deal with your same sex, because you almost have to come at it in a very different way, right? Like you're saying with men, you guys have that like that masculine machismo thing going on where they're like, there's like that dynamic. And with women, we don't know. We're like, okay, so what's your intention? Because there's nothing really to gain from the same sex, right? It's like, I'm not sexually attracted to you, so there's nothing there. And like, so I don't know what that dynamic is about, but I will say within the past, like, year, I have taken a really, really big step to formulate those female relationships. And the female relationships that I have decided to like really anchor down on and formulate have garnered some really, really, really strong results, right? So I think it feels like, and maybe that's like our own mental blockage or whatever, that's a whole nother conversation for mental health, but I feel like you have to approach the same sex with a whole different mentality.
I found myself approaching it with the same sex is more like family, and then with like the opposite sex it's more like, okay, cool, we vibe and we friends, we relax and we can be business partners, we can talk about this, talk about that, and whatever happens, you know, because you can end up dating a business partner that's your opposite sex, because y'all vibe real well, y'all work together real well, y'all in y'all bag, y'all hustling, and y'all got the same mentality, because of course you don't work with anybody that doesn't match your work ethic, your drive, your mentality, the vision or your mindset. And then with the same sex, it's like, yo, this is my fam, this is the homie, this is the bro. You know, we go here, we go there, we talk about life. He's married, I'm married, we go on double dates. You get that kind of like, dang, this is my brother from another mother kind of vibe. So yeah, and you can also get that with the opposite sex, but more so you get like, yeah, she's beautiful, I love her energy, she supports me, I support her. And it's like that king queen kind of thing, you know, that we have. That's just like, it's just a natural thing. You know, I want to support this queen, and then the queen's like, oh, I want to support my king. And then the brothers, you know, we're coming along more like, oh, I want to support my brothers and the kings out here. So I feel like that's something that is allowing the circles to become more diverse, I guess, your circles, because we're starting to realize how important it is to actually support, you know, our brothers, you know, and our sisters, learning how important it is for them to support each other as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's something that's definitely very, very new for me. And it's interesting, especially with women who are deemed pretty, because then it's like, well, it's like you almost look at them like competition, right? Which I've never leaned into that. But I've also never leaned into building those relationships. So recently, like my girl Lena Savitra, she's the founder of Solid Ground. Lena is the CEO of Google Digital Coaches. Like gorgeous women, smart as shit. Like most people will be like intimidated, like, oh, like another female, like, oh, well, you know, like what, you know, what's that about, right? Like I'm not leaning into that energy. But I promise you, when I leaned into their energy and they leaned into my energy, it just makes for such beautiful relationships that like those type of bonds, like nobody could break. Right? So I think you're right. I think it's approaching it from a family perspective versus like a partner perspective.
Yeah, because then you start to compete a lot more if it's just like a partner perspective, or it's just like two women that are beautiful and one might be lacking this, one's lacking that. But if it's your family, it's like your sister, you're like, oh girl, you good? Like we both lacking stuff. Look at our flaws. Lay them out on the table. We good. Let's keep hustling. And like you said, your stuff with men was recent. Mine is with women is recent too, because I only had two women that were my close friends back home, and outside of that, Nobody. And I always thought that I can't be close with a woman because if I go out, people always think we're together, or it's always got to be more than just like what it actually is. But now, I'm more open to it, and I've received so much support. Like, and it's crazy. I have way more women as best friends or as whatever that I got love for than I've ever had in my life, and it's a beautiful thing, to be honest. And it's crazy how your heart actually feels when you love another woman, and it's not like a romantic love. It's like a dang, I really love this person. I want to see this person happy every day. I want to make sure they're okay. I want to make sure they got bread in their account. They stacking the commas or whatever they're doing. It's like, it's really crazy. And I feel like true love is built off that foundation, because it's a lot of different kind of loves. But when you love somebody, like, it's just like core. Like, I just love this person to death and I would do whatever for them. And we ain't doing nothing romantic. I just love this person. It's like, yo, if you build off of that, that's like the most solid foundation you can build for a girlfriend, a wife, a marriage, or whatever. Because without that friendship and that genuine support in the beginning, or them coming into your circle and you didn't know who the hell they were and it just popped up, and that's where the real 20-year, 30-year relationships go, because you start building something that's very, very solid and that's long-lasting, and not just like, a fling or a Tinder swipe or whatever. It's like, dang, this is real.
So I think it's looking at love not as an adjective, and I think a lot of people define love as like an action, right? Mm-hmm. Not an adjective, a noun, or verb. I don't know. We're not in grammar school right now. But like, not looking at love as an action, mm-hmm. but like looking at love as like it just is, mm-hmm. right? Versus hate, which is fear-based, which is rooted in a scarcity mindset, which is where that competition shows up, right? And so I think that's the dynamic and this works male or female. Like, if you're just unconditionally loving somebody and everything that you put out is rooted in love and not making love transactional, or not making love based off of like, if you do this for me, then I love you type of situation. It's more so like, I just genuinely love you, and like, whatever you need, I got you, period. Right? I think those are the relationships that grow out of that don't reflect that scarcity mentality. And I think a lot of, especially like folks in our community, are rooted in that like scarcity mentality. It's like, there's not enough, or there's not gonna, if that person gets on, that I'm not gonna be able to get on.
Exactly.
And so that's the things that we have to remember, is like, there is more than enough. Too much. I sit with billionaires every single day. Like, there is way more than enough, right? And so I think once we understand that mentality, and once we grasp the mentality and know that if you're successful, that doesn't mean that I cannot be successful. If I'm successful, it doesn't mean that you're not going to be successful. Same with another woman. If somebody started at the commas 2.0 tomorrow, get them, girl. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, there's enough room for all of us.
Exactly. So on that note, keep your circle full of love and keep it tight, and just make sure, like you just spoke on, that there's enough for everybody. So make sure you have people in your circle that if they get on, you don't even got to think about it. You don't got to question. You don't got to ask. Like, that you're on if that person gets on. Like, me and my homies, we say it all the time. You're like, bro, when I make it, you making it. And it's just vice versa. Women, men, whoever's in my circle, it's like whenever I'm on, they're on. And that's how you build family. And it's longevity. And whoever is paddling the boat with you right now will be riding on that yacht with you when you get the commas up. And that's facts.
This is The Plug.
You know who's the plug.
It's time to get caught up on the hottest in tech.
Keep it locked, you heard?
With Sequoia Blodgett.
I see you, little mama.
It's 2020. I'm sure you guys all know that. And there are a lot of careers that will be falling by the wayside in the next 5 to 10 years. So we want to dive into some of those careers, what you probably should be moving away from, and then some of the careers that you actually should be gravitating towards. So in 2020, things that will probably not be around are obviously your basic jobs like librarians, because, there will be libraries, but they're going to start to phase away, in my opinion. We're already looking at like digital books. We have Audible. So I can't see why that would continue to exist in 10 years.
And even like just a physical library, everything is becoming automated. Just like if you look at Walmart, cashiers they're not going to exist anymore. We go to self checkout all the time, so the human to human interaction is like really like just dying out. And I feel like even at a library or a coffee shop or wherever, there will be a machine or a robot that can take your order, and those jobs will be like starting to slowly just drift away, and businesses will be like, yo, why do we need to pay this human to do this when we got a robot we ain't got to pay, and they can handle this. So they'll start to cut back on their budgets when it comes to like the amount of cashiers they have or the amount of librarians they might have in a library.
So I think you have great points. And I think right now, what's our jobs that are hot right now, like a social media manager, things that actually didn't exist like 10 years ago, those things actually aren't going to exist in the next 10 years because social media is going to change. The landscape's going to change. We don't know what it's going to look like. But I think one of the things that's super important to note is even though a lot of these jobs are going to move out of the way, there's still going to be room for jobs that have quality assurance because you can't just leave something on automation. There has to be some human interaction that has to check on it and make sure that it's still doing what it's supposed to be doing. So I think that that's something super important to note as well.
Yeah, I feel like we can't just look at technology and be like, okay, humans aren't going to like just be a thing anymore. It's like you are valuable. We still need that emotional and just that like just connection that we already bring to the table as like human beings, because you can't just delete that. So there will always be a job for somebody, and everybody's born with like a different talent or a different purpose and in their life. So I feel like you really need to more people start to tap into that as jobs start to go away. More people will start to realize like, okay, this is my purpose, this is my talent that I was given from God or universe or whoever, and let me start to utilize this because I can monetize this myself. And I think we'll start to see a spike in entrepreneurs as well, because if somebody is not offering me a job, I'm gonna create my own job, so people will start to be more creative. And as you see us, my generation, we're the most risky, just go get it, let's just make it happen generation, just because a lot of jobs aren't here that were here like however many years ago, and new jobs like the social media manager are here now, and we create our own businesses because people that are older than us, they don't know shit about social media, so they look to us and they're like, oh, this young cat knows how to run social media, so guess what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna start a marketing company to run social media and teach older people how to use their social media for their business that they established in the 50s. So it's really crazy looking now compared to 10, 20 years ago, how we're able to utilize our talents and our skills that we were born with, because, they down talk technology and the things that we use, but those kids nowadays that are using the iPhones and the iPads and the Game Boys and the Xboxes or whatever, they're going to be the ones that are so tech savvy and so in tune with what's coming in 10 years to where they're going to create their own jobs, and they'll create businesses to like create jobs for other people that fit, that lifestyle that they live or they grew up in. So I feel like it's going to be a beautiful thing. I'm excited for it. We're going to have flying cars. It's going to be crazy.
I mean, it's a whole industry. I mean, gaming, right? Gaming was not an industry then. Esports. I mean, these high school students.
People get paid to just sit at home, play Madden.
Delane Purnell, he closed a $80 million, I think he's on a Series C at this point, but he just brokered a deal to get esports gaming into all of the high schools, right?
Crazy.
So, I mean, and he can't be and he's definitely not older than 30. So I think that, like you said, entrepreneurs are going to pop up, but I don't want to leave you guys like thinking, okay, artificial intelligence is taking over the world, because it's absolutely not. I know a lot of people were like, well, you got to learn how to code. Okay, it's a little bit more than just that, right? So I think some of the things, if we're looking at careers that we should be paying attention to in 2030 or between 2020 and 2030, I think we should be looking at engineers, product managers. I'm a product manager now. And so basically my job has a lot of involvement in terms of like agile and scrum development. So we're helping develop products that will exist within all of these tech ecosystems. So digital currency advisors. So of course, cryptocurrency is going to be a huge thing within the next 10 years. So who's going to actually be overseeing that money? There's going to be positions and roles for that. Drone traffic optimizers, because that's going to be a whole thing. Like there's going to be flying everything, right? So somebody's going to have to monitor that. Of course, there'll be technology backing that, but there's always a need for the soft skills. There's always a need for human interaction within that, right? And you should be paying attention to conferences like CES because that's actually going to tell you where the next 20 to 30 years are projected to be. So, of course, all that said, if you have anything that you want to talk to us about, drop us a line at commas.club on the gram.
And if you have any interesting topics you would like us to cover, be sure to include that in the DM as well.